Hi everyone, I'm Chiara from Spezzeria Palazzo Vecchio and today I'm going to talk to you about intestinal disorders. Intestine is the part of the digestive system between the stomach and the anal orifice and is the largest organ in the human body. Just think that it is on average 7 meters long and has an area of 32 square meters. Anatomically, intestine is divided into two main parts, the small intestine and the large intestine. Intestine has many essential functions for our body. First of all, the absorption of nutrients. After being digested in stomach, nutrients pass into intestine where digestion is completed. But above all, the absorption of substances useful for the body takes place. In particular, most of the absorption of complex nutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and mineral salts such as iron, magnesium, and calcium takes place in the small intestine. The absorption of simple nutrients is completed in the large intestine, such as fibers. They arrive in the large intestine and are used both for the production of short-chain fatty acids, useful for obtaining energy, and for the production of feces. And after, there is also the absorption of water and mineral salts. Part of the water is used for the formation of fecal material together with the fibers. The other part is used for the hydrating function of the organism. Intestine is part of the excretory system. In fact, it participates in the elimination of useless or toxic substances produced by cellular metabolism, which are then removed from body through defecation. It's like it frees us from what the body doesn't want or need. To talk about the third very important function of intestine, we need to introduce a fundamental concept. Intestine is covered with a friendly bacterial flora called microbiota, made up of more than 400 bacterial species that carry out essential functions. Let's see what are these functions. It produces vitamins such as vitamin K, which is important for bone and blood clotting, and folate, also known as vitamin B9, which is also particularly important in specific moments such as pregnancy. It produces amino acids such as arginine and glutamine. It increases the absorption of minerals such as calcium, iron, and magnesium. It produces short-chain fatty acids. They are beneficial substances for our body, which, for example, act as nourishment for the cells of the intestine, help regulate blood sugar levels, and the production of cholesterol by the liver. It prevents colonization by pathogens, which find it more difficult to settle in our intestine and therefore carry out their action. It releases anti-inflammatory factors, and this favors others that can instead promote inflammatory processes. It stimulates the production of antibodies, in particular immunoglobulin A or IgA. In fact, an important part of the immune system resides in the intestine. Thanks to the microbiota, there is a dialogue with the central nervous system called intestine-brain axis. It's a two-way dialogue. It is not only the brain that has an effect on the function of our intestine, as has been known for some time, but vice versa, the state of our intestinal environment can affect on some brain functions. So, the bacterial flora influences many important functions of the organism. For this reason, we will dedicate a separate video to the bacterial flora at a later time. Well, under normal conditions, the intestinal flora is in harmony with the body and works as a defense by counteracting the settlement of harmful bacteria or viruses that can cause intestinal infections. An unbalanced diet, anxiety or stress, use of drugs and antibiotics can alter the flora and generate various disorders such as intestinal swelling, diarrhea, constipation, colitis, which is the inflammation of colon, the last part of the intestine. It's a disorder related to a functional alteration of the intestine which, due to stress, anxiety, cold, or the intake of certain foods, it moves too slowly or acceleratedly, giving rise to an alternation of constipation and diarrhea, associated in the presence of chronic pains in belly and an irreducible swelling. Okay, to avoid these disorders, it is important to act upstream by rebalancing the intestinal flora, then remove harmful bacteria and repopulate the intestine with good and useful bacteria, or probiotics. Among these stands out Lactobacillus acidophilus. Is a lactic bacterium that has a significant beneficial effects for humans, such as the production of compounds inhibiting the growth of the other pathogenic microorganisms and the elimination of toxins produced by proteolytic bacteria. Let's talk about fennel now. Fennel is a plant with a carminative power, which means it eliminates gas from stomach and intestines and soothes pain, like colic pain. It helps with bloating, belching, flatulence, digestive insufficiency, and irritable bowel syndrome. It inhibits the fermentation processes. The third remedy is represented by frangula. Frangula is a plant that contains a particular active ingredient called anthraquinone glycosides, or in plural, anthraquinone glycosides. These, in contact with the bacterial flora, are activated. They stimulate peristalsis, increasing muscle reactivity and the natural contraction of the intestinal wall, which determines the transit and stimulation of defecation. They also promote the accumulation of water and electrolytes, which is why they are useful in both constipation and diarrhea. I want to talk now about rhubarb. Rhubarb is a drug containing anthraquinone glycosides, which are transformed into rheina, the active ingredient, another active ingredient, in our body. This molecule is the active ingredient responsible for the laxative activity of rhubarb. Its action is enhanced by synergism by the action of the buckthorn, or which is the other name of the frangula. Okay, last but not least, senna. Senna contains sennosides, which are molecules responsible for the activity of the plant. It also contains anthraquinone glycosides and are used for chronic and occasional constipation. They act as purgative laxatives and as they promote the contraction of the intestinal mucosa. Okay. We introduced all these active ingredients in different supplements. The first supplement I would like to talk to you about is lactobacillina. Lactobacillina is based on Lactobacillus acidophilus with burdock and helichrysum, which are purifying plants to eliminate toxins produced by harmful bacteria. The second supplement is Frangolax Soft with frangula and rhubarb. It's like an intestinal regulator thanks to the action of both frangula and rhubarb, but it also contains fennel and chamomile. In this way, it absorbs the gas and is also antispasmodic. Last supplement is called Frangolax Forte. It's similar to Frangolax Soft, but it has a major laxative action for those with occasional constipation, thanks to the senna. Well, as always, I remind you that before considering taking our supplements, it is advisable to download the product sheet from the link here on the slide to consult with your doctor or a specialist. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for being with us. A greeting from Spezieria Palazzo Vecchio.